Jake here for Extreme Terrain, and today I'm taking a look at this K&N Series 63 Air Charger cold air intake for the 2021 and newer 2.7 liter Broncos. If you're looking for an easy way to improve the drivability and response of your Bronco for a good price, you've got to take a look at this setup from K&N. This is specifically designed to increase airflow and reduce your intake temperatures as compared to your stock setup, which is going to make a noticeable difference in the way your Bronco drives and responds. It's also a closed box system that does not require a tune, so it's an easy setup too. Now, K&N has long been the name in cold air intakes, and that's with good reason. Their setups and filters are high quality, they're long-lasting pieces, and they provide noticeable improvements in overall drivability. And this Series 63 Air Charger system is no exception. So let's start with this filter. This is a washable, reusable, high-flow air filter, and it uses a cotton gauze media with an oil design to help capture dirt and particulates. Since this is noticeably larger than your stock air filter, inherently it's gonna let a lot more air through, and these deep pleats in the filter itself are gonna be really good at helping with flow and trapping unwanted dirt and debris. Now, since this is an oiled design, you also get the benefit of having that additional layer of protection against dirt and particulates. The oil on the surface here is nice and sticky, and it's gonna help filter out even some of the smallest particulates, stuff that might otherwise slip through a dry filter. And the best part is that you can just wash this out, re-oil it, pop it right back in. No need to replace it, just clean and be on your way. Now, oiled filters like this have a pretty long lifespan, especially if they're properly cared for. So that's gonna cut down on the replacement costs too. Now, K&N says that you can go up to 100,000 miles without cleaning this filter in ideal conditions. However, that's again, ideal conditions. I would recommend cleaning this out every year or so to make sure everything is performing at its best. When I run K&Ns on my own vehicles, I usually clean them once in the spring and once in the fall, but you do what works best for you. Now, the other big feature here is, of course, the closed air box. Now, we see plenty of heat shields for cold air intakes, but going with a fully enclosed system like this is gonna make the most of it, especially on a turbocharged engine like the 2.7 EcoBoost. So this is gonna pull cooler air from outside of the engine bay and help keep out the hot air that's inside of the engine bay itself. Again, that's especially important with turbos since they create a lot of heat under the hood. So you've got this large scoop here that's gonna pull air from outside of the truck just beneath the hood line, and it's gonna help keep intake temperatures low. Lower intake temperatures means better combustion and thus more power. Again, especially important with turbocharged applications. Now, the box and the intake tubes themselves are made from roto-molded HDPE, which is heat resistant. Also gives you a nice resonance too, so you're gonna get some of that cool intake noise and even some turbo whoosh when you get on it. Now, the top of the box here, you might have noticed, looks a little interesting, and this is an access panel with an additional filter built in. So this means that you're easily going to be able to check on the state of the filter or take it out to clean it, making it convenient and easy to service. But you get a little bit of extra airflow coming through here too, and something that acts as a barrier with that engine bay heat. Another big positive is, like I mentioned earlier, that this is a no tune required intake. So you do not need to invest in a custom tune or even a flash tuning module to get this set up to work on your Bronco. Just install the intake and you're off to the races. However, I say that with the caveat that, as with any other intake, you should not expect huge power gains. You should still feel some difference in the way your truck responds versus its stock setup, and that's purely because you're funneling more cooler air through the intake and into the engine. But big power gains are not going to be the end result here, but you are going to get an appreciable difference. And of course, though a tune is not required, if you want to make the most out of a setup like this, you can always invest in such a tune. Now, as far as pricing goes, this one is gonna come in around $550, and that puts it pretty much right in the middle of the spectrum price-wise when it comes to intakes for these newer Broncos. That doesn't mean, however, that you're sacrificing on quality or functionality at all. Quite the opposite, in fact. So if you're looking for a high-quality air intake that's an easy bolt-on upgrade, then this one is gonna be absolutely worth it, in my opinion. Installation is going to come in at a 2 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and you should plan on it taking you about 2 hours to do. And you won't need anything more than common hand tools to get it done. Not much more that I could say about it here, so with that, let's head over to the install bay and we'll walk you through the process.
Tools used for this install: a pry bar, 3/8 electric ratchet, a 3/8 long extension, a short 1/4 inch drive extension, 5/32 Allen head socket, 1/4 inch drive ratchet, 7, 8, and 10 millimeter sockets, pair of pliers, 10mm wrench, clip removal tool, and spring clamp removal tool. Hey guys, I'm gonna show you how to install our cold air intake here on our 21 Bronco. So let's get started. So the first thing we're gonna do in our uninstall is we're gonna remove this air box right here. We're gonna take this push clip out. We have some connectors here holding some wiring harnesses in. We have some 8mm here. Then we'll be able to disconnect this electrical connector and remove our air box. That'll give us access to get into our air intake tube here and our lower air intake tube there. Now I'm gonna take my push clip removal tool here. I'm going to get underneath this front one up top here. There we go. Now we got it. So we'll just get that out of the way. Next, we're going to do the same here. We have a wiring harness here, wiring harness here. I'm just going to get behind it, pop it off like that. Same with this one here. Get back behind it. And pop it through like that. Now that we have those two out of the way, there's a little wiring harness down in here we got to disconnect. So now we have this clip right here. I'm just going to push in on the tab and pull it off and get it out of the way. Now we have some 8mm up top here we have to take off. So now I'm going to take my 8mm and my 1/4" drive ratchet. We have 4 of them right here. I'm going to remove these. And one back here. And now that I have those removed, I'll be able to lift up and remove the top lid. So now I'm going to take my 7mm and loosen up this clamp right here, which will release this tube from our air box. So I'm going to take my 7mm socket on my electric ratchet here. Get it good and loose. That way we can just pull down on it and make it move. Like that. We have it off. Now there's one up top we have to remove. So now we're going to take our 7mm socket again with our ratchet, loosen this one up. Once we have that one loose, we'll do the same. And if it's new like our truck, it's probably a little tight to get it off, but just gotta give it a little persuasion and off it comes. Now we'll remove an 8mm on the side here and then we can lift our box out of the way. So now I'm gonna take my 8mm on my ratchet, get in here. And loosen that one up. So now we got our 8mm on the side here. I'm just gonna pull this little harness off here on the side, like that, get it out of the way. And what you're gonna have to do is just lift up on the box. It's in a little nub down here. So you're just gonna have to wiggle it, and then it pops out, like that. Tilling it like that, and that's the air box removed. So now we got our air box removed. What we're going to do is remove this upper air intake tube here. We have two 8mm bolts here. We have this clamp here holding this tube on, and then over here we have another hose clamp holding this into the intake for the turbo here. So we're going to remove this, then we'll go down and remove the one from the other turbo. Then we'll get ready to start installing our new air box. So now we're going to remove this clamp right here. I'm going to take my pliers, just grab a hold of it. It's a spring clamp. You're just going to squeeze it together and just work its way back like that. And once you get it far enough back, you'll be able to turn the hose. And once we get these other bolts loose, just make sure it moves here. So once I get these two 8mm off, we'll be able to remove that. So I'm going to take my 8mm on my electric ratchet, remove this one. And this one right here. Next, we'll loosen up our hose clamp. So now I'm going to take my 7mm with my electric ratchet and remove this hose clamp right here, or I should say just loosen it up. And get it good and loose. which will give us access to pull this tube out. So now to remove this tube, to make it easier, I'm going to loosen this clamp up here and remove the upper air intake tube, and the one down here, the one clamp that holds it to the turbo. That way we can lift this out of the way and remove our intake tube. So I'm going to take my 7mm again on my electric ratchet. I'm going to loosen this one up here and kind of get it out of the way, and then I'll pry this off, and then I'm going to get down inside here and loosen that one up down by the turbo. So now I'm going to take and disconnect these two harnesses here. It's just a push clip in here. So I'm going to take my push clip tool, get in there and pop them off the tube. That way when we lift the tube up, the harnesses aren't holding it from coming up. Just want to be careful because it is plastic. Pry up easy. And pull that out of the way. And then the same for this one here. I kind of just wiggle it until I get it to come loose. Like that. I'll just keep that out of the way. Now we're going to get down there and loosen that 7mm up. So now I'm going to take my 7mm on my ratchet, get down in here. Loosen our clamp up here at the turbo. Get this nice and loose. And we'll pull that off like that. So we have one more 8mm right here that we have to take off. And that'll give us access to remove our tube. It should come right out. So we'll do that next. So now I'm going to remove one more 8mm right here. And the reason I removed this tube was just makes it easier to fish the bigger tube through. So I'm just going to move this out of the way like that. Grab our intake tube like that and pull it out of the way. So now we got to remove this hose that's clamped to the hose here for this turbo. I'm just going to get under here with my push clip removal tool and get that out of our way. Put that down there. So now there's a 10mm that's underneath this hose right here. It bolts to the block, so you're going to have to get underneath this right here. I'm going to come in with my 1/4" drive ratchet, a 10mm socket, and I'm going to remove this bolt. Once I got that out, now we're going to remove our spring clamp back by our turbo. So now we got a spring clamp right here. Now I have a spring clamp removal tool. If you don't have one, you're going to be able to use a pair of pliers or channel locks and get in here. It's a little tough to get in here because the spring's facing down this way. This tool here is pretty nifty. You're just going to stick this on like that. Get it. I'm going to squeeze the handle and that'll release the spring clip or the spring clamp. And once you do that, you should be able to pull the tube off the vehicle. Again, our vehicle's brand new, so these tubes are on here. It might take a little persuasion to get it off. So if it doesn't come off like it's fighting me, I'll get a pry bar, just push a little bit and pry that off. And again, I'm going to get this pry bar in here because I was having a little trouble getting it off. And this is a brand new vehicle for us, so it probably never was off. And if yours is the same way, you might have a little trouble. You don't want to go crazy with a pry bar, but I'm just going to pry a little bit, just like that. Wiggle it around a little bit, and there we go. That's all you needed, just a little persuasion. And once we have this part of the factory air intake tube system all removed, we're ready to go into the install of this K&N filter. So now we got everything disassembled. We're going to install our new air intake tube. It's just going to go in here like that. I'm going to feed it down in and install it into our tube over here, line this up right here with this bolt. We're going to put this back in place here and get this started. And then what I'm going to do is take my electric ratchet with my 8mm on it. We'll tighten this one up. Now we got that in place. We're going to reinstall our air intake tubes that go onto our turbo here and go onto our inlet pipe, and then we'll tighten our hose clamp up over there. So I'm going to take my 7mm on my ratchet, and I'm going to tighten up this clamp right here. So now we're going to just push our tube back in place, just like that. I'm going to take my 7mm, tighten this clamp up. So next I'm going to put this tube and hook this in place, just like that. And then we'll push down on our turbo tube there. And just let it slide down on. And once we get that done, we're going to take the 10mm here that were supplied in the kit, line our hole up here with our tube, start this one. Like that, that'll line it up. I'm going to take my pliers, take our spring clamp, put that in place there. We'll take our 10mm on my 1/4" drive ratchet. So I'm going to take my 10mm, just snug this one up here. I'm going to take my factory bolt here, put it into this one here. And once we have that in place, I'm going to take my 8mm socket and my ratchet, snug this up. Come back to this one with my 10mm, tighten that up. Now we have a bracket we're going to stick on here to hook to this one. I'll take this bracket, install it in place here. I'm going to use the 10mm that they give me in the kit. I'll see if I can get out of the way a little bit so you can see. I'll move my arm here once I get this started. Now you can see that's kind of how this bracket's going to go. Just like that. We'll get it snug. And then what we're going to do is take the other 10mm that they supplied in the kit with the nut. Put that through, put the nut on the bottom. Now we'll tighten these up. Now I'm going to take my 10mm socket on my 1/4" drive ratchet, snug this one up. I'm going to take my 10mm wrench, get under here to hold the nut, take my 10mm on my ratchet again, and snug this up and tighten it. Now we'll work on the turbo part on the other side. So now I'm going to push down on our tube here, make sure it's in place. I'm going to take my 7mm on my ratchet. I'm going to get in here and we're going to snug this one up and tighten it. And now that we have that tight, now we'll install our air intake tube down here that goes onto our turbo. So now we have our air intake tube here that's going to go onto our turbo down here. We're going to slide this rubber adapter right here. You can see it's one size here, one side there. We're going to slide that on this part of the tube. You're going to have a rubber grommet that pushes into the tube here. And then you're going to have your two clamps, which I'm going to slide over the tube. Now we're going to take this, install this onto our turbo down there and tighten these clamps up. So now I'm going to slide this into place, just like that. I'm going to move the clamp so I can get to it. Put it up facing the top here. I'm going to tighten that one up. I'm going to take my 8mm on my ratchet. And do the same with this clamp. I'm going to snug this one up because we might have to move it to get it to adjust to fit the other tube. So I'm gonna leave it right there for now. And that's gonna put it in place here. We'll be able to move it with our tube. Now we're gonna get a sleeve to put up top here and hook these two together. So next what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this sleeve here and these two clamps. I'm gonna get these over top of our tube here. And then we're gonna take this sleeve, slide it over top of this, and then get it in place with our tube here. We can push it all together, just like that. I'm gonna take our hose clamps with my 8mm again on my ratchet and tighten them up. Same with this one. And I'm gonna put them kind of the same so it looks nice. So now I'm going to install our air temp sender right in here. Again, this rubber grommet you're going to have to put in. Ours was already in our tube here because we used it as a display. But so what I'm going to do is just push this down and in place like that. And in the kit, they're going to give you an extension adapter in case you need it. We can just plug this in, plug it in our tube here like that. And then they gave you some wire ties in the kit. You're going to be able to wire tie your harness out of the way here because of us removing the stock air box where the clips went. This one doesn't have it, so we're going to end up using the wire ties to tie this stuff out of the way. So next what we're going to do is install this piece inside our air box like that. And we're going to take our Allen head bolts that are supplied in the kit, line the holes up here and get these started. Pretty much like that. So we're going to get them in place. I'm going to take my 5/32 Allen head socket on my ratchet, tighten these up. Same with this one. Once I got those two tightened up, next what we're going to do is slide our grommet here over top, push it up against like that. I'm going to spin it down to there. And then I'm going to take my 8mm on my gun here and tighten this up. And that'll give us the ability to attach this to the tube in the vehicle. Next, we'll install our air filter inside. So now we're going to take the air filter, install it into our box like that. And then what you're going to want to do is just push it up onto that tube that we just installed there. And I'm going to try to spin the clamp so that I can get access to it. I'll try to keep it so you can see it. So right there it is, right there. Again, I'm going to take my 8mm. Now I kind of have it where I want it right there. I'm going to finish tightening this up. Now we're ready to install our air box onto the vehicle. So now we're going to install our air box into our engine compartment here. I'm going to try to get that tube started first. Push down here, get it into place, and you're going to want to make sure that you go around with your fingers to this tube here and make sure it's sealed all the way around. And you'll feel this sit down into place here. All right, now it's down. We've got a 10mm over here. We're going to stick in and tighten that up and then put our push clip in the front. So now I'm going to take my 8mm on my electric ratchet, tighten this clamp up here. And once we get that done, we're going to take my 10 millimeter here that's supplied in the kit. I'm going to install that in the back here in this hole, right back in here. Okay, and lift up a little bit, get it started like that. I'm going to take my 10 millimeter on my ratchet. Get that tight. Next, we'll install our push clip. We'll install our push clip up front here. Put that into place. Push it down just like that. So now we're going to take our screen assembly here, and we're going to stick it into place like that. We're going to lay our mesh over top of it. You'll see how it fits, pretty much like that. And then the top part of our lid, pretty much like that. Just make sure that you kind of have it so you can get to the screws there and that they're all open. So we're going to take our Allen heads and start these. Try to line all the holes up here to get it all started. There's 4 of these to put on. You got to move it around a little bit to get them in place. Like that. And the last one here. And I'm going to get them all started by hand like I've been doing here. Then what we'll do is we'll tighten them up. And you're not going to want to go too tight because this is plastic. All right, now we got them all started. I'll take my 5/32 again on my 3/8 gun and just run these in nice and easy. As soon as they get snug like that, that's all that you got to do with them. And now those are all in place. That's going to wrap up this install. That wraps up this review and install of our K&N Series 63 Air Charger cold air intake for 2.7 liter Broncos. Thanks for watching, and for all things Bronco, keep it right here at ExtremeTerrain.com.